Back to channel. Today we are going to see about Mycoplasma microbiology. So here we have the classification. It belongs to the class Molecules, order Mycoplasmatales and family Mycoplasmaticeae and the genera Mycoplasma and also Ureaplasma. So let us see actually what is Mycoplasma. So this Mycoplasma is a group of bacteria which is not having cell wall. This is its main feature and it's highly pleomorphic. So what does pleomorphic mean? It is nothing but it doesn't have any fixed shape and size. So they require a sterol for the growth. Sterol is nothing but fatty acids which are present in their membrane, so they are required for the growth. And the species, there are approximately 16 species found in humans, that is causing pathogenicity. So what are those pathogens are? Mycoplasma pneumoniae, Uroplasma uralaticum, and the presumed pathogens are M. hominis, and the non-pathogenic species that is not causing any disease to the humans are M. orale, M. salivarium, M. buccale, and also M. genitalium. So these are the just introduction to it. So let us see the overview. These are the group of very small wall-less organisms of which Mycoplasma pneumonia is a major pathogen. So we are going to study it in detail. So what are the biological characters it has? That is, the most striking feature is the absence of the cell wall, as I said, and it is the smallest microorganism. This is also a striking feature. It is about 0.2 to 0.3 μm in diameter. So it is the smallest microorganism known till now, and it has varying shapes like cocoid, filamentous, bizarre, granules. In bizarre forms like granules, balloon rings, star, disc shapes, and they also show filamentous forms of varying lengths like true branching, which is why they are called Mycoplasma. They have true branching. Here you can see in the picture they are like having some branches. You can see side branchings. And what actually, let us divide the Mycoplasma and understand this. Myco means fungus, plasma means plasticity. So together fungi is like plasticity means movement. So do not possess any spores and flagella or fimbriae, but some species show the gliding motility and they are gram negative but are better stained with gypsandines. Actually we can say they do not give any stem, especially the pneumonia species, because lack of cell wall, so they don't obtain any stain. But in some species overall we can say it's a gram negative bacteria, and they lack a rigid cell wall, as I already discussed, and it has a single trilaminar cell membrane that contains the cholesterol and keratinol, that you need to remember. And some species also show the bulbous enlargements by means of which attached to the receptors, so they will be responsible for the hemoadsorption. And also they multiply mainly by the binary fission, but the genomic replication and cell division are often asynchronous. That is, they are not moving, this process are not going on continuously, they are asynchronous, and so the budding and the chains of beads are formed. So in an asynchronous way, the budding and chains of beads are formed in this species. So you can see some of the biological characters. The morphology and staining property. The plastic neither rots nor cocci, variety of shapes, stain poorly with gram stain, positive by Giemsa staining. Remember that they are positive by Giemsa staining. And as I said, it is 0.3 mm, and the Mycoplasma are the smallest free living organisms. Next, coming to the cultural characters. So what in a culture they may have? They are mainly aerobes and also faculty to anaerobes. That means they can live with the presence of oxygen and also absence of oxygen, but they are mainly growing in the aerobic conditions, that is in the presence of oxygen. And the optimum temperature, as like all organisms, for the growth is 37 degrees, and they require the sterol and cholesterol as an essential growth factors. Of course, as I said, in the trilaminar disc they have a sterol and cholesterol. So, and in the culture property, here you can see the bacterial membrane contain cholesterol and nutrition requirement is high. They require the high nutrition. And next, coming to the culture media. In the culture media we have the Mycoplasma broth. This broth actually has the 20% of horse serum, 10% fresh yeast extract, glucose, phenol red indicated. And the Mycoplasma agar, it's solidified by addition of agar. It contains antibiotics like penicillin, polymyxin B, ampicillin can be added to prevent the growth of the other contaminating bacteria, and also cyclohexamide can be added to prevent the growth of the contaminating fungi, so that only we can get the pure culture of only our Mycoplasma bacterium. And also there is a biphasic media that is mainly containing the agar in a slant position and also broth of same composition can be used. So these are all. And coming to the colony characteristic, actually in the colony we need to grow it for 2 to 3 days, so it takes a lot time because it should be incubated for 4 weeks before the final report, so it is a somewhat long process. But in a reflected light you can see the colonies appearing like a fried egg appearance. You can see the fried egg. So the colony frequently has characteristic fried egg shape with raised center and a thinner outer edge, so it looks like a fried egg. And next characters, you can see this is a colony with a fried egg appearance. And next here you can see biochemical reactions. One more thing we need to learn that too. A common feature have a fermentative properties, and biochemical reactions are specific to some species. For example, you can take in a pneumonia. In pneumonia species there is utilization of glucose, but arginine and urea are negative. And in hominis glucose is negative but arginine is positive, and again urea is negative. And in urea lyticum both glucose and arginine are negative but the urea is positive. So it depends on the base of species, the biochemical reactions. Now let us see the pathogenesis. So major pathogenic mycoplasma is a mycoplasma pneumonia causing atypical pneumonia. Atypical pneumonia means not real pneumonia. Pneumonia like it appears to be pneumonia. Of course the symptoms and also are also same, but not a true pneumonia. So that we need to remember. And next we need to remember some agents, like it is susceptible to heat and susceptible to lysis of surface antigens, surface active agents, and also lipolytic agents such as torocholate. And also it is resistant to penicillin and cephalosporins and also lysosomes as they act on the cell wall. And the two surface antigens of the mycoplasma can be the lipolipid antigen and the protein antigen. So these are some important points. And the main infections, by mycoplasma species and the ureaplasma species are mainly causing the respiratory and urogenital infections. So respiratory infections are mainly caused by the mycoplasma hominis and mycoplasma pneumonia. But the urogenital infections are caused by the U. urealyticum and M. hominis. So thus we can remember. And the specimens we take from the respiratory, sputum, nasal swabs, etc. In the genitoureteral, we'll take the vaginal swab, cervical swab, and we should collect them in a Stuart's medium. And the transport medium, as it is a delicate bacteria, we use bovine serum, albumin, gelatin, penicillium as a transport medium. So that you need to remember. And coming to the mycoplasma pneumonia, now let us study it in detail. So the clinical findings, it is a non-typical pneumonia transmitted by the respiratory tract. Symptoms are fever, headache, cough, sore, of course same like pneumonia, but not so prominent. They are like somewhat normal. So pneumonia is a typical pneumonia is by pneumococcal pneumonia. It is also a bacterial infection, but it is a pneumococcal pneumonia. And the non-typical, that is atypical pneumonia, is caused by other organisms including the mycoplasma, and also some virus may cause it. So what are the laboratory diagnostics? The diagnosis is usually not made by the culturing samples because it takes at least 1 week for the colonies to appear. So serological test is a mainstay of the diagnosis. So remember that we only do the serological test in this. And the principles of prevention and treatment, you can do prevention. There is no vaccine or other specific preventive measure. So treatment, carry on the antibacterial treatment like antibiotics. Penicillins are ineffective. So what we can use, let us know. Before that we need to know the cultures used are mainly the mycoplasma broth, mycoplasma agar, biphasic medium, and also cell sheet. So these are the cultures we use it. So we can also find this bacteria by antigen detection, nucleic acid detection, and antibody detection. So antigen detection is mainly in the respiratory specimens by immunofluorescence, counter immunoelectrophoresis, enzyme immunoassays, ELISA, immunoblotting with monoclonal antibodies, so like this. And nucleic acid detection we can do by rRNA detection by gene probes, and DNA detection by dot blot hybridization, polymerase chain reaction, PCR, all this is. And antibody detection can be also done by CFT, that is complement fixation test. And this is the significant trait in which the recent infection is 1:64 in ratio, and antibodies are appear after 7 days of the infection. And also in indirect hemoagglutination test can be done in antibody detection. So the enzyme immunoassay for detection of IgM, IgG, IgA, and the test is more sensitive than CFC. So these are the immunoglobulins, for this we test. So how can this mycoplasma can be treated? Mainly we use the tetracyclines are effective, because here you can see penicillins are ineffective because they become resistant to it. So we use the tetracyclines, and also mycoplasma resistant to penicillins and also cephalosporin. Not only penicillin, the mycoplasma is also resistant to cephalosporins. So we need to remember that. So we can use only tetracycline at present. So this is all about mycoplasma introduction, and also about the main species causing pneumonia, that is Mycoplasma pneumonia. Diagnosis, we also do the non-specific tests like cold agglutination test and Streptococcus mg test. So what is a cold agglutination test? It's based on the appearance of the macroglobulin in the patient of a primary atypical pneumonia that is caused by mycoplasma that agglutinated the human O blood group, that is RBCs, at the low temperature. So the serial dilutions of the sera are tested by adding the equal volumes of RBC, and they are observed for the clumping after leaving the sera 4 degrees overnight, all over the night. And demonstration of the Triesing titer or a titer of 1:32 ratio is significant. So that is that we do in cold agglutination test, and also we do in Streptococcus mg test. There also we do the serial dilutions of sera tested by adding heat killed suspension of Streptococcus and observed overnight, incubation at 37. So the titer of 1:20 or more is suggestive of the infection. So here we see in the Streptococcus mg there is 1:20 ratio, and in cold agglutination test there is 1:32 ratio. So this we need to observe.